there.
Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It's Thursday afternoon here in the Eastern Time Zone of the USA. It's time for the Manufacturer Showcase. And with us today, we have George, K3GP, one of the sales team, technical team at DX Engineering, where we have almost 400 years of combined experience here at DX Engineering. And so please put your questions in the chat, and George and I will try to answer them. George is going to be able to answer more questions than I can, but because George has been doing this for a long time. Hello, George. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Tim. Yeah, I just celebrated last month 50 years of being licensed. So I guess that counts a little toward that 400 years. And,
yeah.
A lot of it been using RTTY. So I've had a lot of fun all these years.
Well, that has been your thing is RTTY. And of course, you're on FTA. You're on a lot of things as well, and CW. But George, how long have you been here at DX?
It'll be 13 years in a couple of months. That I started in 2008. The company has grown a lot over the years. It's been a lot of fun to watch the growth and how we've become a major player in the marketing of ham radio gear.
Yeah, it has really been special, and 13 years, big time contributions. I wonder how many hams you've talked to on the phone in those 13 years and have helped have more fun with ham radio.
Don't know that I have a count for phone calls. Certainly, you're pushing close to 10,000 emails, so I would imagine that it would be somewhere around that number on the phone.
Yeah, I'll bet it's been a lot. And before if you have a question about anything amateur radio, you can put it in the chat, and we'll do our best. I do want to share my screen, and so we'll go full screen on this, and want to show just a couple of photos here today before we get started with the Q&A. And I went over to one of our favorite places. George, do you see my screen?
Yes, sure do. Okay,
one of my favorite places is the Ham Gallery. After DX Engineering, I hang out on Ham Gallery, and here's some K3GP memories. This is celebrating your VP9i DXpedition for RTTY in 2015. Do you remember this, George?
Sure do. It was a lot of fun. Worked with there from VP9i, with several great guys, WW3S and the other gentlemen that are there. We had a great time.
Yeah, ND8L and I believe K8UT. So good crew. And here's another crew. Here you are with some awards from the 2013 CQ Worldwide contest, again from VP9i.
Was a lot of fun working from there. It's kind of like as close as I've ever been to Rare DX.
Yeah, Bermuda is a very nice place to go, and again, super operators there with you. And in 2017, we did an operation here at K3LR, and you were part of that. And then also, let's see, we've got Dayton 2018. So this is the first year at the new Xenia location, George.
Yeah, nicer location, at least in terms of being a vendor, was a lot nicer for us. Even though I miss the old Hare Arena and went there for many, many years, this is a nicer location.
And of course, here you are taking it easy during the DX Engineering First Ham Fest, and with one of our top technicians there, K3GP. And looking a little relaxed there. Let's see what we've got here. Here's 2016 in Dayton, again with K3GP. You must hang around this guy a lot.
Yeah, we operated a couple of RTTY contests here from my QTH here recently. We'll see when the scoring's done, but I think we did reasonably well.
Well, Ed is a great guy too, and we're glad to have him on the team. Another RTTY plaque in the Super Suite. And let's see, what else do we got here? Contest dinner. There's K3GP, and hanging out with K3GP, and of course KSU Mel. who was also part of the DX team. And let's see, another RTTY plaque. Man, you must have a whole wall full of RTTY plaques.
Well, not quite. It doesn't hold a candle to the walls at K3LR, but we've had a lot of fun, and operating at K3LR and VP9I certainly were the highlights of RTTY contesting the past decade for me.
Well, that's great. We've got lots of stations on here with us today from Greece and from England and Arizona and from Denmark and Germany and Pittsburgh. Oh, here's one from our friend Michael, W3MLJ in Pittsburgh. And also Bahrain is on, Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey. And see Tango Fox 3 Oscar Mike near Reykjavik. And let's see, Howie, WA3 Mike Charlie Kilo says, DX Engineering is an amazing retail and engineering asset for amateur radio operators. And very professional. Can't wait for the next Ham Fest. And of course, we're going to have a DX Engineering Ham Fest to be on August 7th. And so you all are welcome to come to Talmadge near Akron, Ohio. And we're going to have a great Ham Fest on August 7th. George, what are you hearing on the phones today? What kind of questions are you getting? And if you have a question for George, just put it in the chat room there. Go ahead, George. What are you hearing on the phones today?
A lot of people, now that the weather is breaking, there a lot of concerns about what equipment to buy. There are some delays, unfortunately, from some of our vendors, and we're trying our darndest to get all the equipment out. There are some back orders, and that's been a source of some concern today. But we're working with the people and ironing out those details as best we can.
And Mark, N4 Bravo Charlie Delta from Huntsville says, that looks like a Palstar AT5K on Georgia's shelf.
AT4K.
AT4K, okay. What do you think of that tuner, George?
It tunes everything but the bedroom springs, basically. There isn't anything I've been able to throw at it that it can't handle.
Now, that I have heard so much good about the Palstar line of tuners, and if I needed a tuner, I guess I'd go to Palstar. You know, and Peter Bishop says, enjoyed your talk on earthing and bonding on the NARC the other week. That was a Zoom I did to England, so gave a good presentation. If you or your club would like to have a presentation on various topics, just get a hold of Terry, K8MNJ, that's Kilo 8 Mike November Juliet, at dxengineering.com, and she will set you up with a program. And our friend Wayne is on, Kate Fox from P-Cars, and Victor Echo 9 Papa Oscar Whiskey says he'll be ordering more items soon. And see, Michael, he's getting ready for Kilo 2 Mike. He'll be up here on July 3rd, operating with the guys, and we'll have the Skyview Club will be coming up here, George. That's a great club down in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. Being a Pittsburgh native, I got to spend a little more time there before I moved to Ohio, and it's always been enjoyable going there.
Yeah. And Bob the Traveler, that's WD8NVN, says, are there any FT8, FT4 only contests? Yes, there are. And the Worldwide Digi Contest will be in August. And you can go to www.digi.com and get more information on the FT8, FT4 contest. And Tom says, Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey says, I'm being patient. I placed an order in January, expected delivery in June, but understand many manufacturers are affected by delays. Yes, Tom, and it's not only the amateur radio equipment, it's all kinds of stuff. We've got people that have ordered washers and dryers, and deliveries are like 3 months out. So it's, the supply chain is really under stress. We are doing everything we can to get additional items in, but the manufacturers can't make stuff fast enough, and then they have problems getting the raw parts to make the stuff. And John says, I would like to start assembling my own coax, maybe coax connectors. Does DX Engineering have ready-made kits? And yes, we do. George, we got the best stuff in the world for putting on coax connectors.
Absolutely. The Crimp connectors, and look at the DX Engineering Crimp connectors. They're top class, first class connectors. And we have the stripping tools for the crimp-on connectors and the crimping tools, and available individually. You can buy them a la carte, or you can buy an entire kit.
And Scott from Viberplex W4PA, he puts RY, RY, RY. So he knows he knows your language.
Absolutely.
And Radio 6 Delta Papa Quebec from Russia says, any chance to see DX Engineering sales office in Moscow? You never say never, but probably not.
I haven't understood the Cyrillic alphabet quite yet.
And so if you have any questions about any of the equipment or anything RTTY related, today's your lucky day with George K3GP on with us from the DX Engineering technical and sales team. George, what is one of the things that you really enjoy about the phone calls and the emails coming from the customers?
There's quite a breadth and width of customers. It's fun bringing up a ham that's just starting, that needs a lot of Elmering or helping. There's a great bit of gratification in helping those. All the way up to, there are a number of customers that are top-notch, high-end, and have been at the hobby as long as I have, and I have to stop them for a moment and say, wait a minute, I need to take some notes because you're doing some cool stuff that I'd like to learn. So it's the scope and the width of that really is enjoyable.
Well, that it is, and when you see the lights come on, and you see that they understand what you're suggesting, and then when they send us emails back and they say, hey, I took your suggestions and the stuff works, that's really cool too. And so we have November Lima 7 Delta on from Tucson, Arizona, and he says, I've got more DXE parts coming from you. They're due here tomorrow. I don't know how you're going to sleep tonight. I mean, Tim, when I'm getting a box from DXE, and I just placed a couple orders today, because now we have a mobile-friendly website at DX Engineering. We just unveiled it yesterday, and it is working great. And I can't keep my hands off the phone and the DXE website. Now that we have the mobile-friendly website, it's beautiful, and it's really easy to order. So, if you haven't tried us lately on your smartphone, take a look, because the DX Engineering website looks totally different on a mobile device.
And it's much improved on the small devices now that we do have the mobile website. It was a little cumbersome before, and all that has gone away.
Gone away. Let's see. The tall guy says, with the future FCC exposure regs, will DXE consider having an online RF exposure calculator? There are other calculator sites out there, and a DXE calculator would have more confidence. John, that's not something we're working on. Maybe the ARRL might do that. You might reach out to ARRL and see if they're working on something there, but that is not something that is in our wheelhouse. And Stormy says, I have a B&W AC 3.5 to 30 antenna. The SWR has gone suddenly to infinity. Does DX Engineering have a replacement balun and a balancing network? This comes from Kilo Fox 6 Bravo Mike. I'm not familiar with the topology of that antenna. I don't know. Do you know anything about that antenna, George?
I do not. That's one that I've never had hands on.
Yeah, that's an oldie but goodie. I guess we'd have to see what the balun was, or the balancing network was. We may have something that can help you, but we would need some more information. Henrik says, I have an old Pack Rat PK232, but getting too old for use, I think. I'm checking out the MicroHam 3 interface. Can't wait to do RTTY and other digital modes. Jerry says, I'm a general class operator and I'm also legally blind. I have a 7300 and I've never made an RTTY contact. How do I go? How do I do that? And can you offer some help? What about blind operators and RTTY? What do you think, George?
Well, I do have one chap that has something, a device, I believe he called it a Opticon, that allowed him to scan the screen. And he did some limited RTTY that way. I don't know whether that's a practical way. I certainly would think it'd be a little difficult to do contesting, but general conversational really should lend itself to that type of approach. There may be more modern devices than that, because he's had this device he calls an Opticon for quite a few years.
Yeah, so I know that there has to be other sight impaired operators that are on RTTY. We just don't have a whole lot of information for you, Jerry. I'm sorry. Charles, Charlie Victor Mike says mobile sight is much better.
Yay.
Stormy says it's a folded dipole. Stormy, we would have to look at what that matching network is. Just because it's a folded dipole, we don't have the magic right here. And it somehow covers 3.5 to 30 megahertz. And we don't want you to get the wrong thing. Core says, I've been waiting 6 months for repair for my MFJ noise canceling dividend. Shame. Core, I believe that you probably have this sent into MFJ. They are way backed up down there. And so all I can tell you is to keep calling them and keep emailing them to try and get your repair done. And let's see, we've got Andy says, hi, Tim. Thanks again for talking to the Disney Club yesterday. Curious if you or George knew of any good amateur radio RTTY or FT8 or PSK iPhone apps that can be used for parts on the air. What do you think, George?
Well, being that I'm an Android person and I never owned an iPhone, I can't help him there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and I've never put those apps on my phone, Andy, so I'm sure they're out there, but that's not something that we have experience with. And Ron says, glad to make Signal Link purchase from you. Too bad Yaesu cable is back ordered for 2 months from the supplier. Still glad I made the purchase. Yeah, Ron, some of these parts are, it just, especially when they come from Asia, it's been really, really tough. So hang in there. And hopefully you'll get it soon. And you know, the whole world is back ordered right now. We're hopeful that here in the next 6 to 9 months that things settle down and people can ramp up production. That's really been the problem, and getting all of the parts that they need to build this stuff. Victor Echo 1 Quebec Echo Tango says, I'm very happy with my MFJ 993B and Heil ICM mic. Well, very good, Quentin. It's good to know that you're happy with those products. And so, George, what kind of advice would you give for somebody just starting out in the amateur radio hobby?
Well, certainly one of the things you want to look at, I think, is the beginning equipment. Now, I'm talking more HF since that's where I spend most of my time. And you take a look at something like the ICOM 7300, which is an absolute price performer, gives you so many features for the number of dollars. This might not be the time to scrimp and save a couple of $100 to get a slightly a lower price model that just doesn't have the features. The 7300, I've had one for 4 years now. It's not my main operating radio, but I've used it and bought it particularly for field day. And every year, PCAR's field day CW is the ICOM 7300, and it's served us amazingly well. Has many, many features. So that's what I would think at that point. The other thing is, don't think that you're going to be able to get a single antenna that's going to work basically 160 through 440. You're really going to have either select certain bands that you want to focus on, or you recognize you may need more than one antenna to cover the lower HF and then into the higher HF and then VHF. UHF is going to take another antenna.
Okay, that's great advice, George. Mike Zero Tango Delta Sierra says he just tried out RTTY and PSK on his IC7610 today. It works well, but very fiddly to get it on frequency. Good decode once there. And George, you've been tuning ready for almost 50 years. That is an acquired art. And
Absolutely, because you first of all, in the early days, I did high tones, 2125, 2295. Modern radios tend to lend themselves a little better to the 1275 pair. And but over the years, I've gotten to the point where I can actually copy my call sign by ear. If somebody's calling me, I can pick up the K3GP. But boy, that does take a long time to get to that point.
right. And Dave over there at Mike Zero TDS says it's a lot easier to get the decode on the 7851. Well, I know the 7610 can do a good job too,
It does.
You have to get familiar with the radio. And as George said, there are high tones and low tones, and take a look at that. Chris W5CUY says, "Hey guys, looking to build a switch that is keyed by the IC7300 to switch between a TX and RX antennas. Any good resources or direction to go?" George, we could make this real easy. It's the RTR2.
Absolutely. Yeah. Take a look at the RTR2 and on our website, and also the instruction manuals available there. There is a lot of very good information in the instruction manual. Generally, when somebody calls with a beginning question about this type of thing, that's where I point them. And a lot of times, 10 or 15 minutes going through the pages of the instruction manual will light up a lot of light bulbs, and you say, aha, this is what I want.
Yeah, Chris, it's real easy. The RTR2 takes care of all the timing. You don't have to worry about RF getting into the receive antenna, and it does all the switching for you. RTR2, Radio Tango Radio 2 on the DX Engineering website. And Yankee November 1, Zulu Oscar Juliet says, "Thanks for sharing all the tech information." And George, I talk to Oscar YN1ZOJ every night on 40 meters. So he's a favorite guy of mine, and nice to have you on, Oscar.
Good.
Dino KL0S says RTTY on the 7300 isn't hard. Toby KL0SS made her first QSOs with a bit of coaching, so she's off and running. And Franco wants to know, this is Lima Whiskey 1 Fox Golf Yankee down in Argentina, George. He wants to know, is it better AFSK or FSK when working RTTY?
That is a very interesting topic that often comes up. I tend to prefer FSK because AFSK, if you don't take the care and adjust it properly, has a lot of splash to it, and you make a much wider signal than you should actually use. But if you take the time and adjust your AFSK properly and pay attention to the ALC on the transceiver, it can do an excellent job. It's just a matter of, a lot of people like to hop in and make contacts without going through the adjustment phase and making sure that their signal is clean.
Yep. So FSK would be preferred, is the preferred way to set up the RTTY. Well, George, listen, we've been on for quite a while. I really appreciate you coming on, and thanks for all you do for DX Engineering. Man, you have been through it all, 13 years here.
Yeah. I want to share one thing quickly with the audience. Here is my top RTTY
Look at
contact. And that
What?
is North Korea RTTY. Now it goes back to 15 meters on June of 2002. That's my prize.
North Korea. How about that?
So,
Gee.
and interestingly enough, that is the only contact I've ever made with North Korea in my favorite mode. So I feel fortunate.
Now you're all set. And we just got to get Bouvet here in 2023. That's going to be a good one, too.
Looking forward to that.
All right, George, thanks very much. And if you need to get some advice on RTTY or anything ham radio, give us a call here at DX Engineering. If you're not a customer, try us out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Until Friday, tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we'll have the weekend special, and I've got all sorts of notes about the new NVIS antenna that I put up today here at K3LR, and we'll have some results for you tomorrow. So it's the weekend special, 20 Zulu, 4 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube and Facebook Live. Until then, 73 from DX Engineering.
73, folks.